Hello, my name is Matthew Torkelson, and for my first field study, I went to Corpus Christi Church on the 25th Sunday in Ordinary Time, September 22nd, 2019. So I had an excellent experience at this church. One thing right off the bat I want to mention is that as I was walking in, I noticed there was a sign that said "Zero Photography or Electronics" on the door. So at that point, I realized I just had to do a voice recording, which I did. So when I first walked up to the doors on the outside of the church, I didn't really know what to expect. It kind of seemed just like a normal building to me. But as soon as I walked in, I was immediately breathtaken by how beautiful it was. There was just a lot of hard surfaces. There was a theme in there, a huge chandelier in front of the altar, and extremely high ceilings, which just made it seem like I was in some very old church, which I was. I personally found the music to be very beautiful, even though there weren't that many instruments used. In fact, the only instruments I could really pick off were obviously people singing, an organ, and at one point I think I heard an instrument similar to an accordion. The initial song that involved the organ really caught my interest because the chords were very dissonant at times, and I love the effect that that can give the music. In fact, I play piano, so I can really appreciate the quality of whoever was playing. They did a really great job. Like I mentioned earlier, the ceilings were extremely high, and there were a lot of hard surfaces, and I think both of those factors contributed to the amazing quality of music that I heard throughout the entire Mass. As far as the congregation, I think it was comprised of people of all ages. I saw a lot of elderly people, but also young adults such as myself. The only demographic I didn't really see was any young children, but that doesn't mean there were not any young children there. I just didn't see any myself. I saw many white people, but also people of what I presume to be Hispanic descent and also Asian descent. And I'm not really sure of the socioeconomic status of the entire congregation. But if I were to guess, I would put it right down the middle. And as far as participation of the congregation, I didn't see that many people around me singing because I was sitting towards the back. However, those that were singing were very loud, and it actually did seem like there was a lot of people singing, but maybe that was just in part due to the acoustics of the building. As soon as I walked into the church, I was greeted with a large smile from someone who also handed me a songbook and service program, and at the end of the Mass, the priest actually made mention of coffee after the service that was available to everyone. Also, when I walked in, something I was not used to was there not being a reservoir of holy water at the entrance, or at least one that I saw. I also wasn't used to the choir being hidden in a room in the front left end of the church. Also, the communion ritual actually caught me off guard because after individuals received communion, they remained standing side by side and then left as a group unless they wanted to also sit from the chalice. As far as following the entire service, I'm somewhat embarrassed to say that I actually had a very challenging time following the music and the readings because I was kind of confused as to which book to use and which piece was actually being performed in front of me. And on top of that, I kind of felt awkward sifting through papers in a row by myself, which would kind of have been a clear sign that I was an outsider. However, some of my favorite aspects of the Mass were actually after it, when I met with the priest or pastor outside along with a few classmates, and I was just really taken back by how friendly and talkative he was. And on top of that, when he read during the Mass, I couldn't help but notice his tremendous public speaking skills and how well he was able to just tell a story that was focused on going to heaven, and it was very touching. Everyone in the congregation was actively listening and paying great attention, largely because the pastor demanded such in the way he spoke. And lastly, in despite of me not having any cash to donate at the offering sequence of the Mass, um, I couldn't help but be impressed by the friendly atmosphere and welcoming sense that I felt.
This past Thursday marked the
And
celebration
that
of
concludes my
St.
first field
Boniface,
study. Thank you very
better known
much for
in
watching.
New York by his Italian name San Gennaro. It's the reason they have that big festival of pastries